My wife sent divorce papers via email, while I was holding a rifle on the battlefield. 3 months later, I returned silently and brought down an entire scam ring targeting soldiers right inside the house I once called home. My name is Ethan. It was during a midday break. Sand from the desert clung to my collar, and the sweat of 12 hours on patrol still stuck to my skin. Nothing unusual in Syria, until I opened my laptop. The subject line hit like steel. "Let's be adults about this." I clicked. 4 lines, 3 stab wounds. "Ethan, I've filed for divorce. I've emptied our joint account. Jordan has moved in with me. I hope we can handle this maturely." There was a PDF attached. 13 years of marriage compressed into a single file, like a receipt someone couldn't wait to throw away. I sat still in the tent, the desert wind howling like someone laughing into my ear, like she once did, curled up naked against my back in our cream-colored bedroom in Northern California. And now, an email? A new name? A stranger? Sleeping on the same bed that once had my teeth marks on her shoulder. I didn't punch a wall. I didn't scream. I just stood up, headed for the communal showers, cold water slicing my skin. But she was still there, Becky, in my mind. Her naked body glistening in the amber nightlight, narrow waist, soft breasts slick with sweat, hair tangled from me. Now, Jordan had all of that. I wasn't stupid. I knew something was off long ago. 6 months back, Becky started changing. When I touched her in the kitchen, she'd gently slip away, like touch was an obligation, not desire. She began wearing tight dresses, but only when leaving for late work. The last time we truly made love was 2 weeks before I deployed. That night, I turned in my sleep, hand on her hip, pulling her close. Instead of responding, she pushed my hand away and whispered, "I have to wake up early." I knew she was lying. I said nothing, but I started watching. The next day, I began diverting a portion of my pay to a separate account. Not much, just enough in case things blew up. I also secretly installed a mini camera on the living room shelf, where Becky often sat, legs curled up, dress rising on her thighs, texting someone. Sometimes at midnight, she'd smile at her phone, neckline so low I could see the top of her breasts when she reached for wine. The night before I left, she wore a satin nightgown so thin I could see her skin tone through it. I thought it was a sign. I pulled her close, kissed her neck, slipped my hand down her belly. Becky grabbed my hand. "Ethan, don't. I'm tired." I stopped, but not out of respect, because I knew I had already lost her. Now, in the desert, reading that email, all the pieces clicked into place. That night, I returned to my bed, opened the laptop, and typed one word: understood, then closed it. Jenkins, the young soldier who secretly watched adult videos at night, looked up. "You okay, sir?" I stared at the ceiling. "Just family stuff." He nodded. No questions. The way men who've survived war know. Some wounds aren't meant to be shared, just returned, quietly. I had no feelings left, no love, only memory. Of Becky's cleavage in a tight white shirt, of unfamiliar perfume on her blouse, of the way she laughed behind a screen, eyes curling like razor cuts. She thought she had won, but she didn't know. I'm a soldier. I don't start wars. I end them. I met Becky for the first time at a pool party in California, 2010. She was wearing a red bikini that clung to her like second skin. That sun-kissed, fiery woman emerged from the water, brushed her hair behind her ear, and looked straight at me. No shyness, no need for words. Her gaze alone was enough to make me walk over. We were in bed 2 days later. She was good at it, not just lying still, but making you feel like you were the center of her universe. When Becky was beneath me, her legs wrapped tightly around me as if she never wanted me to leave. 3 months later, I proposed. When Becky wore her wedding dress, a gown that hugged her chest and exposed nearly all of her back, I remember thinking, this will be the woman I'd die for. I didn't know that 13 years later, I would almost die, not on the battlefield, but because she killed me in the cruelest way, by erasing everything that was ever us. When we first got married, Becky worked as a receptionist at a dental clinic. She once said, "I don't like stress. Being a doctor like my dad doesn't look fun." She used to come up behind me while I was doing push-ups, sliding her hands down my abs and whispering, "Every time I touch you, I feel recharged." But gradually, she touched less, whispered less, stayed home less. I started noticing things. Her gym schedule suddenly jumped from once a week to 3 times, but her body didn't change. No soreness, no sweat. And every time she came home, Becky wore tight bodycon dresses with thigh-high slits, but only to go biking with the girls. The first time I saw Jordan on her phone screen, I didn't ask. The second time, she shoved her phone into her purse like a reflex. The third time, I saw a message. "Wear that black dress again tonight. Still can't get over the way you pinned me against the kitchen wall." I didn't yell. I didn't confront her. I just printed it out and kept it. Instead, I started preparing. I went to our old bank, the one with our joint account, and quietly arranged for part of my salary to be rerouted to a different bank Becky had never heard of. I also visited a law office and updated the beneficiary of my military assets from Becky to my sister. Everything in silence. Then I rented a storage box in a suburban warehouse to hide everything I valued most: my dad's Rolex, passed down after he died of a stroke, our wedding album, and a hard drive with all the data from the hidden camera at home. That camera was mounted on the bookshelf where I once caught Becky walking out of the bathroom in nothing but ash-gray lace lingerie. I knew she had no idea it was there, but I also knew she wasn't doing it for me. She was playing a role, the temporary wife role, while the real woman hid behind her late nights and secret screen taps when I wasn't around. The night before I deployed to Syria, I tried one last time. I pulled Becky close, kissed down her collarbone, and slipped my hand under her nightgown, soft like silken sand. She shuddered slightly, but not out of desire. She was afraid of being caught pretending. She gently pushed my shoulder. "Ethan, you fly out tomorrow." I got it. She didn't want to make love to me. She no longer saw me as her husband. That was when I decided I wouldn't save this marriage. I'd move faster than her. She thought I was just a dumb soldier, but she forgot I was an officer. I planned campaigns down to the smallest detail. And the plan began right after that night. Right after that soft but firm no in the bed I once thought was the safest place in my world. I left the airport with no tears. Becky kissed me on the cheek, as if saying goodbye to a coworker who got transferred. She had no idea that wasn't a farewell. It was the first shot in a war I would not lose. 2 months after receiving the divorce email, I left Syria without notice. I was reassigned due to internal logistics, but I told no one except my commander and my private attorney, Jaden, an old unit buddy who now specialized in asset fraud cases. I booked a flight straight to Spokane and checked into a small hotel downtown. No one knew I was back. Becky was likely enjoying her new domestic life with her lover in the house that bore my name, on the bed I had assembled, in the kitchen I had tiled by hand. After checking in, I opened my laptop, logged in to the home security system. An hour later, I saw Jordan, her new lover, wearing nothing but track pants, sipping coffee from a mug with the letter E on it, my initial. He lounged back on the sofa, stretched his arms to show off his chest, and grinned at Becky, who was wearing one of my old white shirts, no bra. She climbed onto his lap, kissed him right in front of the camera, his hands gripping her ass. I clenched my jaw, not from jealousy, but because I had once loved her that much. Loved her enough to believe she would never do this to me. Loved her deeply enough to think I had chosen the right woman. But in that moment, I didn't feel pain anymore, just cold. I pulled out my phone and started typing. Call Jaden, have him review all property-related transactions. Check VA loan paperwork, confirm it's under my name only. Update security on military retirement accounts. Trace all suspicious transfers from joint accounts. Activate real-time fraud alerts at the bank. I also called the real estate agent who had handled the home purchase back in 2014. He remembered me right away. "You're the tall soldier who joked about planting coffee trees in the backyard, right?" "That's me, but now I need to check if any new names are listed on the property title." There was a pause. "I'll dig into it, but fair warning, if something's changed, it's usually a forged signature." I sighed, not surprised. That night, Jaden called back. "Ethan, you ready for this?" "I'm always ready." "The mortgage was refinanced 3 months ago. A new application was submitted, and the signature on it, it's not yours." Silence. Not only that, Becky listed Jordan as a co-applicant. And the money they pulled from it was $335,000. It felt like a bomb exploded behind my ears. So she used our home to borrow money, forged my name, and split it with her lover? Exactly. I might be stating the obvious, but Jordan has a record, doesn't he? Jaden scoffed. 2 DUIs and a suspended sentence for financial fraud. And guess what he's doing now? Don't tell me. Real estate agent? No, but he's partnered with a guy named Spencer, Daniel Spencer, and Becky's transferred over $14,000 to him. The reason? Processing fees for property documents. She's planning to sell the house? Jaden paused. She's not planning, she's already setting it up. I traced the transactions. Daniel Spencer has handled at least 5 properties with the same pattern. Wife divorces a military husband, house is undersold, cash is funneled to Jordan or an accomplice. He's a key link. I sank into the hotel bed and stared at the ceiling. This wasn't just betrayal. My life was being stolen. Becky hadn't just lied to me. She was part of a criminal scheme. And the worst part, I wasn't the only victim. If what you're saying is true, this is a scam network targeting U.S. soldiers, I whispered. Exactly, and the FBI's already watching. I sat up. Jaden continued. I've contacted financial crimes, but they need live evidence. Audio, video, a clear plan. I smirked coldly. I have everything, from my home security system. You serious? I've even got audio of Jordan, in my underwear, discussing how to offload the house fast. Want the file? Jaden burst out laughing. Send it to me, right now. And get ready, Ethan. We're about to play big. I looked out the hotel window. The night had wrapped itself around Spokane like a closing trap. But this time, I was the one setting it. Becky had no idea that in this game, the soldier never fires first, but he always pulls the final trigger. The next morning, at 9:15 a.m., I sat inside Jaden's car parked 2 blocks from my house. The coffee in my hand was still hot, but my fingers felt like steel. Through the rearview mirror, I saw Becky's SUV was gone, but Jordan's beat-up pickup was still parked exactly where I used to keep my Harley. 9:02 a.m., another car rolled up. The logo on the side door read Spencer Realty. Daniel Spencer stepped out, crisp blue dress shirt, portfolio in hand. Jordan came out to greet him, they shook hands and entered the house together. Jaden turned to me. "Want to move now?" I shook my head and opened an app on my phone. No need. The security feed from my house came to life, every movement in full view. In the living room, Spencer opened his bag, took out a camera. Jordan crossed his arms, pointing toward the kitchen and hallway. I turned up the volume. Spencer's voice rang out, crystal clear. Listing at $470, fake list price. Real sell at $420. You get 15, I get 10. Becky said her ex-husband's being difficult, but don't worry. These army guys just shout a bit and disappear. They never stick around long. Jaden immediately pulled out his phone and started recording the screen. I spoke low. The cops are going to want this. I sent the live stream to the FBI, directly to Agent Patel, whom Jaden had already contacted. I added just one line, "Happening now." 30 minutes later, as I was drafting an email to the military finance office to freeze all assets, my phone rang. A sharp, composed female voice answered. "Mr. Ethan, this is Agent Patel. Our team has surrounded the property. Can you confirm, are the two targets Jordan Cole and Daniel Spencer?" "Confirmed. Do you have visual IDs from the footage I sent?" "Clear as day. And thank you for the camera quality. Did you study security systems?" "No, just a soldier, a careful one." 10 minutes later, I watched 4 FBI vehicles approach from a distance, silent as hunting cats. No sirens, no flashing lights, just agents in uniform moving quickly toward my house. Jordan was handcuffed the moment he opened the door for Spencer. Spencer panicked, dropping papers all over the tile I used to scrub every weekend. A car sped in. Becky. She stepped out, froze at the scene in her front yard. Agent Patel approached her. They spoke. Becky covered her mouth with both hands. That icy tone from her email, gone. Only panic remained. Patel called me. "We'll need your statement to complete the case, especially voice ID on the recordings and ownership verification." "I'm on my way." I met Agent Patel an hour later at the FBI office in Spokane. I laid everything out, from the divorce email and the empty bank account to the hidden surveillance. When I showed the footage of Becky sitting on Jordan's lap in my kitchen, her smile wide, Patel exhaled through her teeth. She might have been manipulated, or she knew everything. I said nothing, because I knew Becky wasn't stupid. She just chose the path that paid better. 3 days later, Becky reached out, not to apologize, but to explain. "Ethan, I didn't know it would go this far. I thought you wouldn't come back. I thought you had let me go." I responded with one sentence. "You thought wrong." Jaden got word from the law office. Becky would be investigated for assisting in financial fraud, but if she signed a full confession and returned the entire amount, she might avoid charges. I didn't need her in prison. I just wanted her stripped bare, and that was about to happen. At the settlement hearing in county court, Becky wore a light gray dress. No makeup, no perfume. The allure that once pulled me in, gone. Just a woman whose power had been peeled away, who once whispered, "I can't live without you," on my chest, now trembling as she signed away every asset. Jordan, indicted on 3 counts, fraud, federal forgery, and exploitation of military personnel, facing 8 years. Daniel Spencer, exposed as the orchestrator of a multi-state scam, layer upon layer of charges, 12 years. And me? I didn't win with fists. I didn't use a gun. I used what soldiers are trained for: discipline, strategy, and a refusal to forgive betrayal. I was no longer Becky's husband. And now, I was no longer the victim of that marriage either. A few weeks after the settlement was signed, I got a call from Agent Patel. "Remember the name Daniel Spencer?" she asked. I chuckled lightly. How could I forget? We just confirmed something. He and Jordan had worked through at least 11 other military families. It looks like your case is the final piece confirming this was an organized federal conspiracy. I was silent for a moment. then asked just one question. "Are we going to bring them all down?" Patel replied, "Not just bring them down, we're going to wipe them out." Then she added, "But your wife, or rather Becky, is claiming she's a victim too, that Jordan manipulated her, that you were hiding assets and she was only trying to protect her share." I looked out the hotel window. The afternoon light spilled across the roof of the old house I once called mine. And I remembered Becky's eyes at that moment, red but tearless. A masterclass performance. But I had seen better. I had seen those same eyes moan under me on the dining table, her white blouse hanging halfway off one shoulder, whispering, "You make me go crazy." I knew the difference between real and rehearsed. I took a breath. I don't want her to go to prison, but I want everything she's touched gone from my life. And I made that happen. She was forced to sign an admission that she forged my signature on the refinance documents, forced to return every last cent from the pooled equity, stripped of all beneficiary rights, insurance, pension, anything linked to my name, removed from the house, the same kitchen where she had moaned in someone else's arms, on the counters I laid brick by brick. I sold the house 3 months later. I couldn't stand the scent of memories anymore. Those walls once witnessed love. Now they only echoed the dry blood of betrayal. I used the money to buy a small wooden cabin over 20 minutes outside Missoula, Montana. 2 bedrooms, a small creek in the back, no neighbors, no noise, no one in lace nightgowns sending secret texts to other men in front of my mirror. I didn't need women like Becky anymore. I needed peace that couldn't betray me. I got a German shepherd named Duke. Every morning I walked him along the creek, breathing in cold air as crisp as glass. At night, I drank beer and carved wood, tables, chairs, small handcrafted pieces to sell at the local market. Enough to live, enough to be quiet, enough not to be hurt. One day, I received a letter from a woman named Melissa in Texas. It was handwritten, and she included a photo of a small family, her husband in a Navy uniform, 2 curly-haired kids, and a corgi. "You don't know me, but I know you through the FBI case files. Because of your evidence, I was able to keep my home. Jordan had approached me. He nearly made me lose everything. But you fought, and I got to live. Thank you for not giving up, even when anyone would have understood if you had." I read the letter 3 times, folded it, pinned it on the fridge, and I knew Becky may have stabbed me, but that very stab helped me save others. Jaden said I could sue for emotional damages, take Becky to civil court, demand restitution. I declined. I didn't want money. I wanted truth that belonged to me, and I got it. I got one last call from Agent Patel. Jordan got 8 years, Spencer got 12, and the rest of their network, FBI's already made arrests. We traced it back 3 years, and you, Ethan, you were the first to crack the whole case. "Did anyone else ever try what I did?" I asked. "Some did, but they gave up after the threats, after losing their homes, after betrayal broke their will to fight. Only you, quiet and relentless." I ended the call, didn't say anything, just looked at Duke lying by the door, breathing softly in the evening wind. I once thought I lost everything when Becky sent that divorce email. I was wrong. I lost the thing that made me weak and found the one thing that made me unbreakable. 1 year after the divorce papers were officially signed, I was no longer Ethan, the Marine officer. I was just a man living in the woods with calloused hands and a heart stitched shut. Duke, the German shepherd, had become my closest companion. Each morning, I brewed strong black coffee, sipped it on the cabin porch while watching the mist drift over the hills, then stepped into the little woodshop behind my house. I made rocking chairs, oak dinner tables, wine racks for local stores. Slow, steady. No deadlines, no betrayals. I no longer dreamed about Becky, but sometimes, on cold nights, I remembered the way she used to smile, the smile that once made me believe I was the luckiest man alive. I had loved her with the full measure of a man's heart, with everything I had to give, including my absolute trust. Then, one day, I received an email. Not from a lawyer, not from the FBI, from Becky. Ethan, I don't expect you to forgive me. I just hope you'll understand. I never meant to destroy everything. I thought you didn't love me anymore. Thought you had forgotten about me when you left. I was lonely. I was weak, and I let myself believe someone like Jordan. If I could go back, I wouldn't choose the same path. But now, I just want to say, I'm sorry, Becky. I read the email 3 times, then shut my laptop. I didn't reply. Not because I was still angry, but because there was nothing left to say to the past. A few weeks later, I met Jaden one last time at a small veterans gathering. He said, "You know, the FBI told me. At least 11 families were saved from the scam thanks to the evidence you provided. You thought you were just getting revenge, but you built a textbook federal case." I laughed. All I wanted was to reclaim what was mine. "And you did," he said, patting my shoulder. "Not with weapons, but with strength." That night, I returned to my cabin, lit a fire in the stove, and reread Melissa's letter, the Navy wife I had unknowingly helped through my actions. I placed it beside the wood I'd been carving. On the cabin wall, I hung a small wooden sign. "Build quiet, burn nothing, watch everything." That's who I am now. No one needs to validate it. No one needs to stand beside me. I survived war, and I survived marriage. Both were brutal battlegrounds where I once thought I might die. But in the end, I learned how to live, steady, scarred, and at peace, brick by brick, with my own hands. Epilogue. 3 years later, I heard Jordan was killed in prison, stabbed during an inmate clash. Spencer's still serving time, but trying to appeal. Becky, she moved to Oregon, lives in a small town, working again at a dental clinic. Some say she changed her name. Some say she lives with her mother. I don't care. Because to me, Becky died the day she sent that email. My life now fits inside the rustle of trees, the patter of Duke's paws by the creek, and the scent of raw pine wood in my hands. I lost everything once. Then I rebuilt it. In a way no one can steal again. No one can forge. No one can betray. What's left is only me, and the peace I fought to earn.